Welcome back to your favorite podcast, Two Homeschool Moms. I'm Nickie.
And I'm Ashlee. If you're looking for real, raw, and relatable moms who talk all things homeschool and mom life,
you're in the right place.
So happy 2024. Happy New Year.
2024. It is the new freaking year.
It's here.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's crazy.
I gave you my cough through the phone.
Yes. So now I have the cough. So there may be breaks of needing to breathe in between this, but I think we'll be good. Good. So besides us having a sickness, I don't have any updates. I think specifically from like Christmas to New Year's, I think we're all just trying to get better and get rid of these coughs. What about you guys?
Real update? I guess I could talk about my little somewhat meltdown.
Oh, yeah, we love meltdowns. Go for it.
I think I've mentioned on a few episodes now, my daughter's going through this weird, like, transitional phase. Well, and then we also talked about, like, sports and, like, allowing them to, like, be able to quit if, like, they don't like it and all that other stuff. Well, my child decided to quit ice skating on us. After we drove our happy butts there. And then I once again lost my shit because it was like one thing on the next. And then I knew she was like lying instead of just being truthful about it. Because her excuse was like, oh, I'm in pain or whatever for her feet, like on her skates. And I'm like, okay, well then I'll just go like get some new skates, at the front desk and you can wear those. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, let's just go home.
It was like one excuse after the other.
Yeah. And I'm like, can you just tell me like what is going on? Like why you loved ice skating? Like why do you not want to do this anymore? And she wouldn't tell me. So I'm like, well, all right, like Dad's going to go cancel because this would have been our third class that we would have missed in this session. Oh. So I'm like, well, all right, we're done then. Dad can still get his money back. So he's going to go do that. And that's that. So like the whole way home, like I just lost. Like I went way overboard, said some kind of mean things, and then felt extremely awful for saying them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So she got home and like I like was bawling my eyes out. I like talked to her and like she didn't really want to talk to me, so I just like said what I said and left the room. And then I decided, I'm gonna write her a letter because I don't know what sparked it, but I'm like, there's so many more things that I want to say that I think can help. So I, accepted my wrongs and apologized profusely. And just said like, hey, like I'm a mom who like none of us have instruction manuals to do this job. Like we make mistakes, but it's important that I own up to those and like apologize when I know I'm wrong. So I did that and went on about understanding that she's going through something right now. And that just like letting her know that I'm here, been on this journey with her with anxiety for several years now. And like I flat out finally said like, hey, I have it too. And like I've been worrying so much about like your care and anxiety and like how to get you help. But I've kind of like pushed myself aside in the meantime. And I'm like, but because of this incident and how I knew I went overboard and lost my shit again, like I contacted someone finally to make an appointment for myself and let her know the date. Said like, hey, maybe we can share some suggestions on how we can calm each other down, and went on about things that I missed in our relationship together. And I mean, I literally wrote her like a page letter and left it for her in the morning for her to see on her own. And she's been so much better since that letter. To the letter, everything was fine. Like, she's like, I forgive you, like, a half a bit. And I'm like, it's fine. Like, you're entitled to be mad at me. And, like, we can just work together. But she's been playing again. And doing things that she wasn't doing before and just like nicer and all around. Just it seemed like it gave her a wake up call. And then you were like, well, maybe she just communicates better that way. And it just like clicked where I'm like, well, that makes sense because she used to always write me notes. And like I never just like put two and two together that maybe I should just be writing her notes. So, and then you mentioned like I had gotten her a Mom and Me journal.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to maybe bring that back out.
Yeah, because it seems for both of you, and like kind of coming back from what you were saying about how you just like completely lost your shit, like even being able to lose your shit for you personally, like whether that's with your husband or with a friend, but then being able to sit down and like articulate out your thoughts in a letter to your child is probably going to do more good than just dealing with it right then and there. And she's going to be more receptive to a letter if that's like her way. I wonder if it's like a love language. Have you ever done that with her? Like read that book to find your kid's love language? I have it. I'll send it to you. You just like kind of do like
I didn't even know there was a thing for kids.
Yeah, for kids. So there's obviously the marriage one, but there's one for kids, and you kind of take the test for them. Even though she's probably old enough, you could ask her the questions. But I don't know if like I don't remember if it like goes into communication styles, but that's something I am hyper aware of with myself, with all of my family, because I'm very blunt and to the point, and I have some very sensitive people. And it's not funny, but like Nick is very sensitive, and so like I'll just start like saying stuff, and I normally have like more of a raised voice. Like I say I'm always yelling, and like he'll be like,
that's how I am.
Yeah, he's like, you need to chill out. And I'm like, what do you, like, I'm fine. Like, this, I'm good. I'm not even mad. Because when I'm mad, I'm quiet. So I'm kind of like the opposite, but I have to be careful, especially with Emma, who's more sensitive, like empathetic. Like I will ruin her day just by like walking into her room and be like, hey, did you do this and this and this? Just because of the way I communicate and the way she interprets it. We are like, that's not the right way. And so I struggle with that all the time because it's my natural way to communicate, and that's not the best.
Super interesting because we are like, she's the same way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about tone, which I've had to like really dive into her about many things because her tone is very triggering if she doesn't word things appropriately. And then the tone of her voice on top of that can amplify a situation but I feel like she's just mimicking the way I have a tone when I speak with her. So she thinks that the tone is like normal when it's just me not knowing, like me realizing my own like downfalls and like having to re-say things myself and like stop and pause and be like, okay, do I need to come at her like this? Do I need to, it's such a freaking mind game being a mom, like, yeah. It's a struggle.
It's always a struggle, and you never know if you're doing it right. Nobody does. I mean, we all look back and we all have issues with things we think our parents could have done better or worse. So our kids are going to be the exact same way. So we're just trying to get through it. But I think you telling her that, like, I'm not perfect. And I think that's what a lot of parents struggle with. Kids grow up thinking their parents are like these perfect idol saints, and then they get like whiplash when they become adults because they're like, wait, like you are not perfect. And so being honest with them when they're at a right age, which I think she's at a good age to start those conversations, is I think that's going to just better your relationship, because the coming years are hard. I mean, I have Emma's probably 2 years older than Molly, 3 years older, and it gets easier and it gets harder. Like there's some stuff coming down the road, and then teenagers, I might just cry thinking about that. So
it's all just like, okay, we all just need to go to some like deep breathing classes.
That's so funny. So I do breathing with my kids. So the only thing that I think is funny though is I'm a lot calmer. So like when my girls are giving me attitude, I like don't even react because I'm just like, like I could give it out way harder. Like don't even try. And sometimes like other parents are going to be like, you let them talk to you that way, and I'm like, I don't even pay it attention because I'm like, I'm not even going to give that nonsense the energy. But we do breathing because Nico is like a little firecracker. Like he gets like I don't want to say angry, but like physically like upset, or like I don't know how to explain it. So it's very different than an attitude like a girl would have, like his sisters.
He's just reactive.
He's very reactive. So with him, I learned this a long time ago with like kids, like you have to get down at their level. So instead of talking over them, so like with him, I get down on my knees and I'm face to face and I am very calm with him. And we do breathing. And so when he was sick earlier this week, he was like in the bed. He was doing his breathing. He's like, I'm just calming myself down. I was like, oh my gosh, you're too cute. But
Get him a little yoga mat and like a whole setup, you know, like a Zen room corner for him. And he can just go and be Zen and just like, yeah, that would be fun. I could see him being that way though.
Yeah, I think he needs it just because when he gets in those bad moods, it's hard for him to break it. Where me and the girls will be in and out of good moods, bad moods all day long. Like we'll just snap back and forth where he will be stuck if it's, you know, something bad. So
yeah, well, I think that's a good point to make though, is that all of our kids are different. And when we figure out like how, and like you said, their love language, and like it would be so much easier to know then how to communicate with them and how to like sort of get them back on track. Like just, I don't know. I never would have thought of that before had you not like brought it up.
Yeah, I don't even know, like, I mean, I've gone through it with Emma, so I think, but it's almost like they're growing into their own people. Like we view them as like a little person, our little person, but they're developing into their own being. And so I look at it as any other relationship, like the relationship with your spouse. We have to adjust to how it's going to work between us individually, you know?
Yeah.
They're changing. And that's where it gets hard, is when they start changing.
Tell us about how you're going to stay or get yourselves back on track from transitioning from all the holiday stuff.
So we didn't really take a holiday break, so I think we're kind of in a different situation than most. We did take a week off for being sick, but we're not like on a full holiday break, so we never really broke that mindset. It will be easy getting back into school for us because it's not like we haven't been doing it, but I want to say like the 5th is the last day of our second quarter. So that's like our mid-year point in our homeschool year. So mid-year is when I kind of look at our schedule, see where we're on track for everything. So using, you know, the Homeschool Planet Planner, I'll go on there. I'll make sure everything's up to date. And then I'll kind of look ahead, like when are we going to start finishing stuff? And I'm trying to think.
Well, this is when you like take a break from like curriculum too, and you do more like unit studies and stuff like that.
We're getting to that point, yeah. So I'm going to see where we're at with all of our curriculum and then start mapping out the unit studies that we want to do. But then I also have to account for co-op classes start again in February. Activities start again in February. So it's almost like I'm getting ready to prepare for a busy season, and taking January is kind of like our build up. We're going to like start building up to all of that and finishing some curriculum, I guess, that we can, or maybe finishing up some of it and stopping it for the rest of the year. So kind of like a reevaluation of our curriculum is probably what I'm going to be going through over the next couple weeks. If things aren't working, if we're going to change stuff. I talked about splitting Emma out, maybe getting her into some of her 6th grade curriculum. So that's where I'm starting. What about you? Because you're coming off of a pretty big break.
Yeah, we're coming off of a break from literally the week, like the whole week of Thanksgiving. We were off and have been off since. So it's going to be a hard adjustment because now I'm also starting my job. So it's like we're coming back, and it's also going to be different because I'm starting my job. So I have to get down here in our homeschool area and really figure out what the heck I'm doing, because it's going to be so different. Like I need to figure out her independent things that she's going to be doing when I'm not here. And then I really wanted to add in some things that I want to incorporate in our last like half of the year. I really want to do a financial literacy unit, and I think I'm going to do the Evan Moore one. And so I have to go through there and piece together how about I'm going to do that. If there's anything I want to take out or add in. And then I really, really, really want to add in these character first magazines, which are like themed by character traits. So like responsibility, flexibility, honesty, those types of traits. And they have like activities within them. But I really like them because the way they're laid out, they have this cool, like it times it for you. So it'll be like, have your students practice and listen to a critical thinking skills with this fun and active game. 20 minutes.
Oh,
so
okay.
like it tells me how much time to spend on it. And so I feel like that will be really easy to break down into how I'm going to incorporate it. And like some are 15 minutes where there's a literacy connection, or a story or a project. And then there's like these I will things to go over, like I will statements. So I don't know. I really want to incorporate it. I'm just not sure how to do that. I have to figure out a new schedule and routine. We don't really like ease into coming out of breaks. So like that's going to be the hardest part, is making sure we're ready to like fully dive back in. Because we've been off for a month and a week. We're probably going to be a little crazy for the first week or two, but like I am diving headfirst into the deep end, and like everything's going to get done. All the topics are going to be had. Like we have to get things done. Like now we're on let's get it done mode.
When is your official back to school day?
We usually come back the 2nd, so January 2nd. So when you're seeing or when you're hearing this, tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
And that's also the day that I like have my job. So
yeah, okay, that's where I was going. I was like, hold on, I knew I had more of a thought. Okay, so I'm just going to give you advice. I mean, the days you're home, do whatever school you have planned, but I would almost give yourself a week of you going to work, letting Molly kind of figure out her day, and then starting to implement like new processes, like maybe 2-3 weeks in, because you're both going to be in like a crazy adjustment period.
Yeah, you might need to repeat that for me so that I can write that down, because
I'm going to send you a text message of what your plan for life is that week, because you're going to be like on a different, I just know it. I know where your mind goes when you're working, especially a brand new job. And so I know you're going to be like, it's an overwhelming type of thing. And so we're going to do breathing. We're going to breathe into the first couple of weeks for you.
So yeah, I mean, I know my mindset will be different that week for sure, and for the next several. So I'm trying not to give myself these like high expectations, but like I know she's going to have an adjustment period for the days that I'm not here. So I'm going to give her things that like it's okay if she doesn't finish them.
That's good.
Kind of attitude, because I mean, I can't imagine that she's going to do it all like perfectly the first time around.
Yeah.
And figure it out.
Yeah, there'll be some struggles for sure, but you'll get there.
Yeah, hopefully. So what else is on your notes?
God. Okay, so another thing that I'm going to be doing is I feel, well, no, first step, I have so much curriculum and homeschool stuff, like so much. So something I'm doing to refresh myself is I'm going to go through it all, organize it all. It's hard because there was a bunch of stuff I was going to get rid of, but I'm like, I have to homeschool another kid. Like Nico can gladly take a lot of this stuff. So all this stuff I had in piles to get rid of, I'm going to reevaluate that. But then I'm also going to sell a bunch of things as well. There's some like books that we have where I don't necessarily think Nico's going to want to read some of the same books series that his sisters read, and the girls are starting to get into older series, so like we're running out of book space, so kind of consolidating some of our books. So I have personally a bunch of clean out projects, homeschool stuff, homeschool room, getting that reorganized, getting us back stocked up on supplies, because scissors and glue sticks, like they just walk away. They just disappear with all the socks. Like I don't know where they went, but they're gone. So yeah, we kind of do that twice a year. So beginning of school year and mid-school year, we're going to be cleaning.
And you have to take into consideration that Nico, I think just based on some of the conversations we've had, that he has a different learning style.
He does.
So you're going to have to really think like, okay, is this curriculum might possibly work for him in the future, or is it something I can get rid of? Because some of the things he may just not jive with for how they're laid out or whatnot.
Yeah. Well, and so another thing on my list is specifically for him. I'm so used to how independent my girls are, and obviously they're older, but they're also kids who will sit down and do work very well. He gets overwhelmed if I start stacking books, like here's your science book, here's your math book. The more I add, he's like, what are we doing? And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to make him a binder, and so all we have is the one binder every day. There's still the same amount of work, but it's not as overwhelming to him because he knows these are the 5 pages we're going to do. And he sees it. And so he can accept it. And I'm not like bringing new stuff in in his impression. And so I'm going to go through all of his curriculum and make him like a daily packet almost of what work we're going to do. So it kind of eases his frustration, because it's almost like, does it make sense what I'm saying? Where when he sees the new books coming in, he's like, why are we keep doing more? Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Even though it's the same curriculum
he
we do every day.
sees it as like a task list
Yes.
of like overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing all the things, when in reality, it's the same thing. It's just everything has its own book.
Right. Yeah. So I'm going to pull it all out, and then we're going to, because what I learned is when I do have just like a stack of worksheets and he knows that's what we're doing, he's completely fine and he'll sit there and we'll do it all. So I'm going to go through all of that. And then, yeah, you're right. There's some curriculum that I know is not going to work for him. But then there's stuff I had that didn't work for the girls. And so it's like I have to go back through all of that. I have so much stuff. Like,
I have these, I could probably send them to you. I have these awesome like counting bear chart that go with like
those.
Oh, okay.
You sent me the person you got them from, and I laminated them all and printed them all out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I also know they make like those busy binders as well that you can probably add in there some stuff too.
We have that. And so his problem is it's not a problem. He's past those. So he can do those counting bear things in seconds. He likes them, but he's over it. He can count all his numbers. He can add them all. So he's getting into where mentally he can answer the kindergarten curriculum questions. But now we're not like, but then we're missing out on like all those manipulatives and stuff. And so he's going to be a fun one. He's definitely giving me a run for my money with like figuring out what's going to work best for him. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it'll all work out, and you know that. But like, it's just going to be, you know, a Tetris puzzle and figuring out how to incorporate his stuff. And he's going to like feel like you're almost going to need to start including him in like family subjects soon, because he's going to want like to feel included, sort of, even though there's such a big age range between him and like your oldest, for instance. But like maybe there'll be something you'll find in your stack of curriculum.
It's not stack. It's like, I'm going to send you a picture later. It's like the biggest boxes you can imagine, like 4 of them packed. I don't even know where I got this stuff from. I really don't remember buying half of it, and it's there. And I don't know.
Well,
Nickie.
No one could ever say that you don't have a video you could put up on YouTube, because you'll have plenty of review and flip through things for people to see on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. I don't know. If I haven't used it though, I struggle. I can't just like start talking, because if I've never used it, I'm like, I don't know what it does. This is what it looks like. So
I know that's the hardest part about things that like, you know, you're not going to keep, but you want to show and like talk about it, because it's not something that you've done per se. So like, you don't know that much to say on it. But you know, let's talk about that for a second, because I feel like so many people get angry or mad because you're showing a curriculum and then you don't end up using it, or they think you're just like wanting people to like purchase it or whatnot. And like, here's the thing. There is a ton of curriculum that we want to use, and we get excited about using it, but we just can't manage to do all the freaking things. Like, we can't do 2 math programs. We can't do like, we have to eventually pick one, but it doesn't mean that we're not excited and think that it's like a good curriculum. And I think a lot of people get hung up on the like, well, I'm not going to talk about it until I'm like well versed and well reviewed and well whatever, because we can't be well whatever in all the things. Like, it's just not possible. We're only one person in one homeschool. So yeah, I mean, I just noticed that seems to be like a common theme in the homeschool community, is like, you know, needing to be like these expert opinions when we're really just trying to show and like give new ideas for people who might be looking for something.
Yeah, and we're not experts. Like, any of our videos and anyone on YouTube is not an expert unless you're watching a video that comes from the person who created the curriculum We're giving you our opinions.
Right.
I think they should be educated opinions. I mean, you shouldn't be giving false information about a product. But I will go back to where you say people can get like angry that we share stuff, but then don't use it. I get a lot more confusion. People will be like, "Oh, I thought you used this."
Well,
and
I guess that's the better word to use, confusion, not really anger. But
so I get that a lot because I do a lot of review videos where a lot of YouTubers only will review the stuff they actually use. I get stuff sent to me all the time, but I also try to make it very clear, like they sent me this is what I'm showing you, and if I use it, I use it. But yeah, it's just, I think too though, like this is kind of like a job for us. So I've looked at 10 different math homeschool curriculums. So at the same point, I think my opinion is also, I can compare things. I can say this curriculum's going to ask you to do a lot of things with manipulatives and this curriculum's not. And I think that's where people should like have their expectations. Like we can only share what we know. And that's why there's so many of us, because we all have different experiences and different opinions on things.
Well, and I've shared, especially this year, where I'm like, oh my God, all the new things, like I'm doing all these new curriculums and I'm pumped and I'm excited. And then it just didn't work. And so I'm like, okay, now we're using this. It's like, I've gotten some feedback where like, well, why? And it's like, it didn't vibe. It wasn't necessarily the curriculum itself. It just didn't do well in our homeschool. And it's totally okay to just recognize what doesn't work and go back to what does, or find something that does.
Yeah, and we're not like the guarantee, right? Just because we get excited and we're like, this seems so great, and then you choose to buy it.
Right.
Like that's not, we can't take that, like, what is it? Like that, I don't know the word. I don't know. But we can't be responsible because you chose to buy something we talked about. That's our job. We're up here sharing resources and you have to make the best decision if it works. And then if it doesn't work, just like it didn't work in our home, we're in the same boat. But like, we're just here sharing. That's all it is. We're a community to share. And our word is not, I want to say God's word, but I don't want to go there. But again, we're not like, we're just homeschool moms. And I think
not the be all end all.
Yeah. And I think there are some bigger content creator and YouTubers that think that everything that they say is gold. And that if you're not using what they use, you're out of the picture. But I guarantee you're not seeing their whole life. You're not seeing every decision that they've made. They're sharing what they want to share. And no one's homeschool should look the same.
No. And that's probably the best key point right there, is no one's homeschool should look the same. No one has to mimic or any of these things to all of the people that they see, or the shiny things, or all the picturesque Instagram stuff. Because if you could only see, like, even my room, like right now, like you can see my bookshelf, but you cannot see the mess that's literally right here next to me, or right here on the other side next to me. That's not in my videos, because first of all, no one wants to see a mess, but like, we're not these perfect, like, moms, you know, we're just like everyone else, and we're just here to share our thoughts and opinions and have fun while doing it.
Yeah.
Most of us who do YouTube just enjoy doing it.
Right. That's what it is. It's more of an outlet for us. And if we find friends, or if you seem to vibe with us, then awesome. But this is more for us to get our thoughts out, because I don't think our husbands don't want to hear it. Our kids hear it when they're doing their curriculum. So this is like our voice. Yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, and we could do a whole episode on content creation and you know, and it's like, we're not trying, and I don't want anyone to think we're being fake, because I do sometimes have to take those pretty Instagram pictures because a brand wants a nice picture of their product. Of course they do. They don't want, you know, but then also we try to be realistic too, but that's the point too. Everyone makes things on social media look better. It's just ours is more business related.
Yeah, I agree. I think for both of us, we have quite the year ahead of us, quite the changes and plans. And I think both of us starting this new year, we have fun things and challenges. And I'm sure everyone here is going to hear all about that as we go. But yeah, I think that was a good wrap up for this episode.
I agree. On to 2024. On to new things.
Yes, 2024. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year. Bye, guys.
We want to hear from you. Your feedback is invaluable to us, so let us know your thoughts on today's episode. Share your topic suggestions or ask us any burning questions you may have. Your input shapes the direction of our podcast, and we're here to create content that resonates with you.
If you enjoy listening to homeschool stories, curriculum reviews, advice, struggles, and overall mom life, this podcast is for you. But so is our YouTube channels.
Don't forget to check out our individual channels. We share even more content, insights, and a behind-the-scenes look at our lives. Thanks for listening.